Do you want to cut down the cost of your survival extrapolation? Are you tired of painstakingly digitizing Kaplan-Meier plots using the web plot digitizer? Or maybe your only team member with programming experience is busy running other analysis. Until now, there wasn't really a purpose-built, all-in-one solution to solve these problems, but with extrapolates, you can now get submission-ready parametric extrapolations in just a few minutes, significantly reducing your timelines and generating potentially large savings for your organization. On top of that, you can save an additional 10% if you use my discount code Mirko10. Start now and make life easier for your team by using my affiliate link in the description to sign up for extrapolates. Before you sign up, let me walk you through the extrapolates platform so you get a better idea about its features and capabilities. I'm going to use this KM data for my walkthrough comparing survival for treatment A versus survival of treatment B. I ran two simulations of this KM dataset. One with 200 patients per arm and another with 50 patients per arm. The bigger dataset is more like what you'd see in a real clinical trial, but with only 50 patients per arm, the drops in the survival curve stand out more, and that'll be important later when I show you how extrapolates works. Once you're signed into extrapolates, you're presented with this screen, which gives you three options. Here you can learn more about the app, watch a tutorial run by Mate, who's the founder of Viti Science, or click here to get started. As you can see, two options will appear. You can either upload your own data or jump straight into the advanced modeling options. We're going to do step by step, so let's begin by uploading our data first. Now, the extrapolates platform gives you three ways to upload your own data. You can either upload a Kaplan-Meier plot directly, use already digitized KM data, or use empirical individual patient level data should you have access to it. All these three options provide you with infos on the required file format, and for the digitized KM data and empirical IPD option, you can even download templates that'll tell you exactly what you need. In this tutorial, I'll use the Kaplan-Meier option since it clearly demonstrates how you can move from just a single image to complete survival analysis with all the results you could possibly ask for. Simply select the plot you want to digitize by browsing through your saved files. And as shown by the little info box, the minimum recommended resolution for your JPEG or PNG file is 800 by 600 pixels with a maximum file size of 5 MB. After the upload is complete, your KM plot will appear on the right side of the screen with options to zoom in and out via these two buttons. From here, the extrapolates platform guides the user through the digitization process, which will be familiar to those of you who have used applications like the web plot digitizer or digitilt before. First, click the point on the x-axis at 0, then click the point at its maximum value. Where you've clicked, you'll see a red dot appear to indicate the coordinates you've just set. Then you need to set the time values for x, so 0 and 36 in our case. When that's done, you can repeat the process for the y coordinates, starting with y0 followed by the maximum value of y. Again, you need to set the survival values for y, which are defined from 0 to 1 in our case, but your plot may have a scale from 0 to 100, so make sure to align this to your graph. Whenever you're ready, you can click on the Confirm Scaling button or click on Reset Access Points to start over again. With your scaling confirmed, we're ready to extract individual data points from our curve. We're going to do this by clicking on our KM curve from left to right, trying to mimic the curve as accurately as possible. To demonstrate, let me show you how this is done using the blue curve for treatment A. We get the best digitization results by clicking on the points where our Kaplan-Meier curve drops, which is why it's useful to have a curve with fewer patients and events to demonstrate this. The more patients your KM curve represents, the smaller these individual drops will become, so just make sure to take your time to get the best results. What's also nice to see is that extrapolates prevents you from accidentally selecting extraction points where the survival probability is higher than for the previous point. As you can see, I can't define a point where the survival probability is higher than for our previous point, And I also get a little red pop-up notification in the bottom right corner to tell me why I cannot do this. We keep on adding points where the survival probability drops until we have defined at least 10 points. But like I said before, you really want to be diligent with this, so no need to rush. Next up, we need to enter the time points and the number at risk information as comma-separated values. We may also enter the total events information, though this is really just optional. The info for time points and number at risk is mandatory though, so ideally your plot has this information presented in a table below the graph, like in our example. It's been best practice for at least a couple of years by now to present the number at risk and censoring data in a table below the KM graph, but for older plots you may need to search through the original reference paper for this data. In our KM plot, time is depicted in 6-month intervals, so for our time points we enter comma-separated values for 0, 6, 12, 18, 24, 30 and 36. We do the same for the number at risk values, so 50, 48, 43, 36, 31, 29 and 25. Now that we've entered this data, we can click on the button with the little spanner icon that says Reconstruct IPD. And after a short compute time, we can see our reconstructed data appear. To check that your reconstructed curve matches closely with the original, you can use one of the great features extrapolateS has to offer. Clicking on the settings gear icon, you will see an option that says accuracy assessment with image only. Ticking the box for this option will overlay the original KM plot, so you can cross-check against that. As you can see, our reconstructed curve fits very closely with the original. If you're happy with your extraction, you can either add this data to your database, proceed to the next step without saving, or reset the tab to start over again. Before moving on, you'll also get the option to download the survival table and reconstructed IPD data table, which will automatically save as CSV files to your download folder. Moving on, let's add our reconstructed KM curve to our database. Here you can populate several predefined characteristics for your uploaded data. These include information about the study name, product, indication, and the line of therapy. You can also add details about the database log, data type, and time values. Some of these options come with predefined drop-down menus, like the field for line of treatment and the time values. However, this is all fully customizable when you click on Edit Parameters, where you can add or remove study names, products, indications, and data types. Once you're ready, click on Add to Database and you should get a pop-up confirming that your data was successfully added to your database. You can also rest assured that all your data is stored securely, given that extrapolateS uses Amazon's industry-leading data storage service. That's great for peace of mind, especially if you're uploading sensitive IPD from an unpublished and highly confidential clinical trial. So far, we've added data for treatment A, given that we can only reconstruct one curve at a time. From here, you can proceed to use extrapolateS modeling features if you only wanted to analyze one curve, or you could add another curve to get access to the full suite of capabilities. I'm going to do the latter and reconstruct data for treatment B as well, which you can see me do here on screen. Now that we've reconstructed and saved the IPD data for both treatment A and B, let's have a look at the advanced modeling features extrapolateS has to offer. From the home screen, click on Modeling and you'll be prompted to select the data you want to analyze. Just tick the boxes for the curves you want to analyze and you're good to go. As you can see, the modeling section is broken down into 8 subcategories, each with their own tab at the top of the screen. These tabs include a section for the Kaplan-Meier data, proportional hazards, independent survival models and splines, as well as dependent models and splines. There is also a tab for cure models, which is currently still in beta, and one for curve comparison. Let's go through these one by one so you can get a better feeling of the outputs you get with extrapolateS. As the name suggests, you can find your reconstructed KM data in the Kaplan-Meier tab, where you can amend the line width of your curve to your liking via the settings menu. You can also choose to show the confidence intervals, which is reflected by the shaded area around the curve. If you have 2 curves selected, you also get an option to show the log-rank p-value test. Once you're happy with how your plot looks, you can export the KM data to your local machine. On the KM tab, you also get an analysis summary, including the number of records, events, and mean and median survival. You also get a landmark table, which allows you to select landmark time points and their corresponding survival probabilities. Again, if you have two curves selected, you get additional results from the Cox regression, Mantel-Hansel, and Gehan-Wilcoxon test. Next up is the proportional hazards tab. Here you'll see 4 types of plots: Schoenfeld residuals, cumulative hazards, log odd survival, and the quantile plot. Basically, extrapolates gives you the full set of plots an HDA body might ask for, so you can properly check the diagnostics of your survival analysis. If you just want to focus on one plot, you can hide the others, and if you need them back in for comparison, then you can just click this box again and select the plots you want to display. Moving on, we can find the independent survival extrapolation models for our reconstructed KM data on this sheet. As you would expect, you can choose between 7 different distributions, including exponential, Weibull, Gompertz, gamma, log normal, log logistic, and generalized gamma. You'll also see a goodness of fit table, which provides you with the AIC and BIC statistics to guide model selection. Conveniently, extrapolates automatically sorts the table by model fit and highlights the best fitting model in green. Just below the table, you can also check the model fit visually by overlaying the different distributions onto your Kaplan-Meier data. For the independent splines, you get 3 options: spline on hazards, spline on odds, and spline on probit link, all of which have options for 1 to 3 knots. The layout of the Splines tab follows that of the independent distributions, having graphs for the survival curve, hazard function, and cumulative hazard. You also get the same goodness of fit table and the options to plot different spline models for visual assessment and comparison. On top of the independent models, you also get dependent models and splines if you have 2 or more Kaplan-Meier curves selected. Again, the layout in the data tab follows that of the independent models and splines, only that here you have both curves represented in one graph. Since these are dependent models, the type of distribution you select will apply to both of your curves, so you can no longer set independent distributions. There's also a tab for cure models, which is currently available in beta. Since this is still in testing, I'm not going to cover this into too much detail, but it looks like you get access to both mixture and non-mixture cure models, as well as methods to account for background hazard and cure proportions. My personal favorite is the curve comparison tab, where you get one big plot to compare your curves. You can set the time limits you want to display using the slider, and you can add as many curves as you want to compare. You can add grid lines to make the plot easier to read, and piecewise models, and choose from the distributions you want to compare. This really offers a lot of customizability, and once you're happy with your results, you can download your graph and it'll save as a high-resolution PNG file. Now that you have an idea what extrapolates has to offer, let's go through the pros and cons of using a solution like this. Starting with the pros, in my experience, this is a well-built, all-in-one platform that brings together curve digitization, pseudo-IPD generation, and survival extrapolation and modeling. It's a no-code solution, meaning that even non-technical staff shouldn't have a hard time using this application. On top of that, it promises to be a huge time and cost saver, assuming this is deployed in the right setting, and VT Science even has a fun little cost calculator on their website that gives you an idea of what this tool could potentially save your organization. I like the layout, ease of use, and curve overlay feature, and extrapolates really gives you all the statistics and tests you could possibly ask for. In terms of cons, I can only think of external data management as a potential concern. Even though extrapolates uses secure AWS servers, some pharma companies may not want to trust external parties with their patient data. I've spoken to the founder of extrapolates about this, and he mentioned that local deployments are possible on request, so it's something that can be mitigated. Bear in mind that you also don't necessarily need to save data in extrapolates, and you can proceed to analyzing survival extrapolations without saving the data. Lastly, the annual subscription cost may be something that prevents a broader audience from using extrapolates. However, considering what this software does, who it's intended for, and that there really aren't any competitors out there, as far as I'm aware, that can do something similar, the cost for this solution really is absolutely reasonable. Trust me when I say that I've seen PHARMA spend much more money on projects that have provided far less benefit than extRpolateS has to offer. And if you're an academic, you even get free access to the tool. If you're thinking about signing up for extRpolateS, don't forget to use my discount code to get 10% off your subscription. It's partnerships like these that help me keep creating health economics content for you, so it's really a win-win. And if survival extrapolation is your thing, you might also enjoy my video where I walk you through building a partition survival model from scratch. So check that one out next.